On today's video, we're going to cover the 3 mistakes that I think a lot of bow hunters make every single year. This video is prompted based on a bunch of questions that I get on Instagram, Facebook, and here on YouTube. So I figured I'd address them here in one video to hopefully help you guys become better bow hunters. So the first thing that I see, and this will solve a lot of problems for a lot of people, is knock tuning. I have a separate video on my channel specifically covering knock tuning. However, I answer this question all the time and it almost always solves people's problem. So what happens is people will tune their bow with one arrow. Well, what about the other 11 arrows that have not shot through paper? When you're looking at arrows and consistency of the arrow, straightness of the arrow, and the quality of the components in the nock, sometimes there's a variance shaft to shaft. And especially if you're shooting a shaft that is spine aligned, once it gets cut down from full length, that spine alignment mark doesn't mean anything. So make sure that you knock tune your arrows. If you don't know how to do that, I'll briefly explain it. If you have a paper tuning setup, you can shoot each individual shaft, and if it's a bare shaft, just rotate the bare shaft after your initial tune until all the bare shafts are shooting bullet holes. If you're doing it with fletched shafts, let's say it's a 3 fletch, you'll start with 1 cock feather up, shoot it through paper, assess the tear. If it's a bullet hole, it's done. If the next arrow, however, is nock right, then you'd rotate to the next fletching and then shoot it through paper. Okay, now it's a little bit nock right and low. Okay, rotate it to the 3rd fletching, bullet hole. That's where you want to set it. This is another reason that I'm a huge proponent of all the same color fletching, because then you can just slap those fletchings on, you can knock tune them, and you're good to go. If you do not have a paper tuning setup, you can still accomplish this. You just have to shoot a fixed blade broadhead out of your bow at your maximum effective range. Shoot the broadhead, shoot 3 field tips, and rotate the nock until those broadheads and field tips get as close as they possibly can. Repeat this process for every single shaft in your arsenal, and then go to your broadhead tuning process. If you guys bare shaft tune, it's going to be a lot easier in my opinion. You're going to have less work to do on the range. You're going to just end up doing it here in the shop on the front end. Number 2, draw length. I see a lot of guys that are shooting way too long of a draw length, whether it's a 1/4 inch or whether it's an inch. On flat ground, you can get away with having about a 1/2 inch, sometimes even 3/4 of an inch too long of a draw length, and it'll still be comfortable. Where it starts to get uncomfortable is when you start shooting uphill and downhill shots with too long of a draw length. So if you're questioning whether your draw length is correct, there's a couple ways that you can do it. Some people take the wingspan, divide by 2.5, and then round to the nearest draw length module. I find that putting your fist against the wall, measuring from the wall to the corner of your mouth, tends to be just a little bit more accurate. John Dudley also uses this method. And then I fine tune from there with uphill and downhill shots. Use this method and I promise you, you guys will have a better draw length and you guys will hold steadier, longer at long distance. The third thing is arrow weight. This one might get a little controversial. Sorry, not sorry, I guess. I think way too many people get too caught up in what their specific arrow weight is. If you're at 450 grains and you want to go up to 475, that's great. If you want to spend the money on it, definitely do it. I'm not gonna tell you no. However, if it's not on your priority list and you're just going up in weight because of something that you read or saw, or vice versa, you're heavy and you want to go, you're heavier and you want to go lighter, don't just throw money at the problem and think that you're going to have solutions. I think a lot better use of your time would be to shoot your bow, get used to that arrow setup, learn that arrow setup, and become effective and proficient with that arrow setup, and make sure that you're doing the proper steps through tuning, nock tuning, shooting broadheads, and making sure that you're getting the most consistency out of that shaft as possible. Myself, I shoot on the heavier end for somebody of my draw length. I'm a 27.25 inch draw length, shooting 71.5 pounds, and I'm shooting 535 grain arrow at about 266 to 267 feet per second, somewhere in that range. I never really chrono my own bows because when I pick an arrow like this Day 6 HD, I just pick a shaft that I trust. I know that it's consistent. I know it's durable. I know it's a quality shaft with quality components. And I make sure that both ends are squared, build it out to my spec, and whatever the weight comes to, that's what it comes to. As long as it's checking the boxes of, okay, is it durable? Yes. Is it consistent? Yes. How good are the components? What are the components made out of? And is my arrow built properly, nock tuned properly, and shooting down range phenomenally? If I can't get those to align, then yeah, I'll look for a different arrow. However, I've been shooting this same arrow setup for 5 years now, three years now. 3 years I've been shooting this arrow setup, and I've shot mule deer at 89 yards. I've shot whitetails at 12 yards with it. It's a phenomenal setup for what I do. It may not be for you. If you want more speed, that's awesome. But find a setup that works for you and your situation and just get very, very intimate with it. And I think you'll have more success in the long run when it comes to arrow weight. Now, I'm gonna throw in a little bonus tip. Number 4 is checking what your grip does to your bow. So if you have a paper tuner, I highly suggest you add just a little bit of torque each direction. Go heavy on the heel, light on the heel. See how that changes your tear so that when you do go out to the range and you start shooting broadheads and it's with the field tips, nock left. Well, nock left would be an indicator of a nock right tear. What were you doing on that shot that created a nock right tear? Did you punch the trigger? Were you torquing it a little bit? Was your grip too far over the center line? Was your grip too outside of the center line? What does that do to your setup? Find that out so that you can self-diagnose when you're on the range and hold yourself accountable and become the best archer that you can be. Because at the end of the day, we're shooting animals. They deserve the utmost respect and the utmost efficiency in our shooting when we send an arrow downrange. But with that being said, those are the top 3 mistakes that I see bow hunters make. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you guys like videos like this, it would really be appreciated if you guys hit the subscribe button down below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram, YouTube, or on Facebook, and I'd be happy to help you out. Shoot straight.